7:30 p.m. in the municipal complex. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place of this regular meeting has been provided by prominently displaying the schedule of meetings on the official notice board in the municipal complex, and by transmitting a copy of this schedule to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Trenton Times, the Trentonian, and Comcast Cable of New Jersey, Incorporated. A copy was also filed with the clerk of Princeton. Would you call the roll for us, please, Claudia?
Ms. Clayton? Mr. Cohen? Here. Ms. Coulson? Mr. Floyd?
Here.
Mr. Callahan? Mr. Oakman? Chairman Royce?
Here.
Mr. Schreiber?
Here.
Ms. Suri? Mr. Tenema?
Here.
Thank you.
Before we start with the minutes and so on, I want to make an announcement about 469 North Harrison Street. If anyone is here for that hearing, they should go away and come back to the September meeting of the board, as we don't have a sufficient number of staff members to really give that application a fair hearing.
Let me just note for the record that the noticing is in order, so the board can take jurisdiction tonight, and that the date it's being carried to is September 27th. That's important that we put that out there, because the applicant is not going to renotice.
We'll take
Jurisdiction
cognizance of
tonight.
it. That will apply, and
Correct.
notice will be given by ordinary mail
Right.
to everyone that received the certified mail.
Correct.
Okay? Good. So now let's go to the minutes that we have to hear. We have two sets of minutes that were circulated. Let's do the 22nd of March, 2017 meeting. This was circulated to you. You were asked to send in comments or changes that were required. If there are any further changes that need to be made, we should do that now. If not, a motion to approve is presented, and a seconder to the motion is needed. I have a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
We have a seconder to that motion. Could you call the roll then, Claudia? Sorry, did I miss something?
Yeah, Mr. Schreiber, you were not here.
Oh, you were absent for the meeting? If you were, you can't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I need another proposer.
Make a motion to approve the March 22nd,
Good.
2017 minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a seconder properly this time.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Tenema?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the second set of meetings is the April the 26th meeting. The same applies to that. Jonathan and Vaney were absent. Are there any amendments needed to this document? If not-
I move we approve this one.
Sorry?
I move that we approve these minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Legally.
Mr. Tannenbaum will second it. So we'll call the roll of eligible yeas.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Tenema?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you.
And, okay, so before we get to cases, we have this resolution for the 801 State Road case, which carries the file number Z1616181V. This again was circulated and changes or modifications were requested. Are there any comments about this? Is there anyone in the audience to address this? No. Okay, so it's up to us. We need a motion to approve and a second to that motion. And then our attorney, who knows who voted yea and who voted nay, will be able to call the roll for us.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a seconder for that motion? Mr. Floyd seconds. So would you do that for us?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Tenenbaum?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes. Okay. So that's the busy work out of the way. And now we can start on the hearings of the evening. And the first is the 62 Patton Avenue case, which we heard previously and requested some modifications, and they are back with those modifications this evening. Do you need to add anything to what you added last time, Mr. Bridger?
No, I reviewed the plans, and no new variances are triggered by the opening of the porch.
Mr. Bridger, before you continue, I'm going to swear you in
Sure.
for the evening. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you.
So the FAR actually goes down a little bit because they get an exclusion for the porch, so there aren't any new variances.
Okay. So, Mr. Ramage, if both of you are going to give evidence, you might both be sworn in at the
All
same
right.
time.
Do you both swear that any testimony this evening you give will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, good evening. Okay, so thank you for your comments at the last hearing. We've come back this time with a modified set of plans, which I think will address your concerns. So again, just a quick refresher. We're about halfway down the northern side of Patton Avenue, between Princeton Avenue and Harrison Street, lot 49, number 62 Patton Avenue. We're requesting two variances, one to add a deck to the back, that you will recall from last time, right here, and one to enclose half of the front porch down the middle. One side will be a bathroom, one side will be an open front porch. We have also tucked the stairs into the porch to ameliorate some of the concerns that the steps were getting too close to the sidewalk. Now, I want to point out that we are on a very undersized lot. The lot area required is 7,200. We're at 5,967, more than 1,200 square foot under the required lot size, which puts us in a very constrained situation in terms of coverage, which is why we're asking for an increase in coverage allowance for the addition of the deck. Now, there's the house. Just a quick reminder what it looks like. The first variance requested is for the deck. It was 190 square feet, you'll recall from last time. Coverage goes from 25% to 28%, and we will remove all unnecessary impervious coverage to compensate as best we can for that. So you will see around the side of the house down here, starting with these stairs right here, all of this concrete all the way around down here will be removed, which will be not building coverage, but impervious coverage, and we will remove that in compensation for requiring more house coverage right here. So last time you asked a question about the railing on the deck, this railing right here. And so we went away and rethought that, and we have come back with a design in which that is an open railing, not a closed guard railing right here. That's 3 feet up, and the closed part at the bottom, the height necessary for the deck is 4 foot 8 inches. So the maximum height of an enclosed area here is 4 foot 8 inches. The rest is then open. That's the only change that we made to the deck design. Everything else remains the same. The second variance requested was to enclose the porch. We're coming back this time with, I think, an improved design which helps address your concerns, and that is to partially enclose the 7 by 20 foot front porch. So variance relief is being asked to enclose half of the existing porch, and the enclosed half of that porch will extend approximately 5 foot 5 inches into the front yard setback. We're doing this in order to create a bathroom on the first floor. It's going to upgrade in 1926 to meet modern standards. It'll be a code-compliant bathroom. It will not reduce existing interior space. It won't exceed the fire allowance. It won't increase building coverage because it's in the porch already, under the roof of the porch. And it will actually, of course, overall decrease because we're taking away the concrete around the outside of the house, so there'll be a decrease in impervious coverage. So here are the concerns that we heard from the previous meeting, and thank you for these because it invigorated our thinking about the design. So your concerns were that no porch remains, and that violates the recent ordinance. Too much wood, too few windows. The door was right on the outside wall of the porch without a cover. You would like to see the final design. The stairs and the landing protruded too far into the setback. The stairs were concrete. The design is too distinct from others on the street. So let me show you our new design, and hopefully this new design will address those concerns. So again, here's the existing house on this side, and here is the new design we're coming forward with. This side of the front porch is now completely open. This is the front door has been set back into the wall of the house where these windows are right here. So now you come up the stairs, you have a landing at the top of the stairs, you have a step up into the house right here through this wooden 4-panel door and a 4-panel skylight. This is a post sitting at the corner of the deck. This is the original roof that you see right here with the original structural beam wrapping around the edge of the porch. This side of the porch is now enclosed. I'll show you what's in there in just a bit. We have moved the window, which was at the edge of this wall, in under the top window to create greater symmetry in the design. Okay, so let's take a look from the top. I'll just cover over this room for a second because I want to concentrate your effort and focus on this part. This is the new porch. We have tucked the stairs into the porch. So the stairs themselves fall under the eaves of the porch. There's the existing porch overhang in the dashed line, falls under there. Here's the top of the porch, which forms a little standing area, an entry porch. We come into the house right there. We have a guardrail coming up this side. On this side, instead of putting just a standard guard fence to protect people falling off here, we've actually put a trellis. Well, that has two purposes. It acts as a guardrail. It's a little higher than a guardrail, so it actually helps shade the porch in the afternoon summer sun. This is facing west, as you see right here. Here are the stairs tucked underneath the porch. Here's just a trellis, open trellis. You can see through it, but it will function both as a guardrail and as a way of shading the front porch from the western afternoon sun. Okay, so now let's talk about what's in this side of the porch. This is going to be the bathroom. We have moved, as you requested or suggested last time, this window underneath that window to create greater symmetry. We had to remove this window over here because it's a bathroom. So you can imagine that there are things in here which you don't want a window right behind. Right here on the second floor, there is also the bathroom. This is the original bathroom of the 1926 house, and you notice there's no window there either. So this, even though this is a blank wall, it actually matches with the blank wall up there. That blank wall without windows goes all the way from that corner down to that part where this part of the house starts to come out. It's just a windowless wall, and this would match with that. The only wall on this hidden wall here you can't see is that little window right there, other than the basement windows. Okay, so let's see what's inside the bathroom. So you'll recall from the previous design, we had an enclosed entry area here where you could come up. It was an area where you could take off your shoes in the inside of the porch, take off your coat, and this was a coat closet right here. So this was open to this side, and there was a coat closet here where you could store your shoes and coats and then enter the house right here. Now we have partitioned this porch roughly symmetrically. If you look at this is 2'6", 7'6"1/4". That's 10 feet and 1/4 of an inch. This is 9 feet 11 3/4. So to within half an inch, this is the center of the porch. And on this side of the porch, we have used that space from the former closet to create a shower, and we've moved the basin and the toilet to the other wall with a medicine cabinet, mirrored medicine cabinet up here on the wall. So you see it's difficult to put, sorry about that, it's difficult to put a window here now, but the overall objective here is to maximize the utility of this bathroom. There's currently only a sort of afterthought bathroom stuck in the kitchen right at the moment. And here we are, we're putting a full code-compliant bathroom in. The shower here would be very useful for us, but in the future, I think it's also adds utility to the house, so future residents will also get utility from this enclosed room. This is originally a 36-inch wide door. It was the front door of the house right there. And so this will have fairly good access through this doorway. This will be level across that threshold right there. So the new final exterior porch design only encloses half of the existing porch. The new design incorporates a 10-foot wide open porch. There's less wood wall, more openness. There's a covering over the front door, 4-panel wood door with 4-panel skylight. We've moved the stairs under the porch overhang. We've got attractive bluestone stairs, a smooth stucco coloured covering on the lower sides of the porch, coloured to match the colours in the fieldstone existing basement walls. The new design retains an attractive open porch while meeting our need for a bathroom on the first floor. And I'd say that in addition to meeting our need, I believe this addition of a bathroom on the ground floor will also mean that it's going to protect the house from a future teardown. Houses get torn down, old houses like this get torn down because they don't meet modern needs. So I think this is also going to help preserve this house in the future. So the questions that were previously raised, why not a bathroom at the back of the house? In other words, do an extension at the back of the house. Well, the house is in a coverage constrained situation. Adding a deck already takes coverage from 25 to 28%, and a back addition increases coverage further. Will this variance, if granted, will it induce others to enclose porches? I don't think so, because again, we're in a coverage constrained situation, and that's not the norm. It's unlikely to be the case for a regular sized lot. We were more than 1,200 square feet below the desired lot size. So another concern was there was too much siding facing the street, so an open porch design only enclosing half the porch addresses that. We have a window facing the street on the enclosed side, and it's below the upper window in the bathroom upstairs. And any remaining visible siding can be moderated with garden plantings. There's quite a big garden around the house already. More windows. Well, the function of the enclosure, it's a bathroom, limits window placement on that particular part of the house. So again, these are some of the reasons I gave last time for the benefits of the variance. It brings needed features to a 1926 Princeton home, particularly a code-compliant bathroom on the ground floor. It reduces risk of future teardown. It's consistent with Princeton's goals of preserving small older homes and green building practices. It preserves the house footprint and all other original exterior features. We have made every effort to make sure the house will feel like it belongs on the street and allows long-term Princeton residents to downsize in town. So just addressing some of the possible negative reasons for this. So Patton Avenue is not a historic district, so we're not actually changing a historic house. So it doesn't really impair the intent or purpose of the zoning plan. There's no substantial detriment to the community. We will not negatively impact the streetscape. We've made every effort to ensure that. There's already an eclectic collection of houses on Patton Street of various designs, some of them with enclosed porches, some of them with open porches. About 40% of the houses have no porch or an enclosed porch. Several houses on the north side of Patton already encroach into the front yard setback. It won't increase the number of residents, exceed the FAR requirements, or increase coverage. It won't increase the house footprint. It won't create a house that feels out of place on Patton Avenue, and it won't negatively impact the sense of community on Patton Avenue. So in summary, with the changes that we have made, we are now requesting, again, the variance for the addition of a porch at the back of the house, 190 extra square feet for deck and stairs. We have changed the railing here to be 36 inches high and an open railing. Instead of enclosing the whole porch, we are proposing only to enclose half of the porch and to put a much needed bathroom on the ground floor, which will be much greater accessible to older residents, including my wife's 91-year-old mother, and leaving an open deck on the opposite side, which clearly meets the requirement of having an open porch. So about us again, we're long-term Princeton residents. We've lived in Princeton since 1984. We're trying to downsize into a smaller house within walking distance to town. We have many visitors, including grandchildren in New York City and a 91-year-old parent who visits semi-annually. We plan to move into this house and hope to age in place in downtown Princeton. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Ramage, why don't we mark this as Exhibit A2? Will you be able to give this board secretary a copy of your,
I will give it to her tomorrow morning if that's
that's
okay.
fine. Thank you.
Do members of the board have any questions? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this case? You wish to? You'll come to the lectern, be sworn by our attorney to tell the truth.
Sir, first would you state your name and address for the record?
Daniel Steingart, 66 Patton Avenue.
All right, now we'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
I live right next door to Peter and Selena, and throughout this process, I just would like to comment that they've been very open about what they plan to do and what modifications they wish to make to the house. Our houses are exactly the same in terms of their original footprint. They're both, I believe, Sears houses from 1920s, 1930s. And we feel that the changes fit in perfectly with the rest of the block. In fact, there's a lot, much bigger changes happening right across the street from this that didn't seem to require a variance. So I just wanted to be sure that you all knew that as another representative of the block, I see absolutely nothing wrong with this.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment?
I have a question for Mr. Bridger. Regarding the code, the applicant said they met the code requirement of having an open porch. My read of the code is you shall not enclose a porch. And if it met the requirement of the code, then we don't even have a variance to vote on for that. Do we still have a variance?
I mean, they've enclosed half the porch, so I think there's a variance still. I mean, I think they would agree with that. And
Could you turn your mic on?
I think we talked about this a little last time, was the precedent that this sets for basically enclosing a porch in a front yard. You know, I appreciate the neighbor next door and his concern, but what's to prevent others from coming in? And this precedent we're setting is again, the idea behind the front porch was to maintain that streetscape and allow for a porch in a front yard setback. But now that we're enclosing it, it starts to build, you know, a momentum and the possibility of others doing that. And I'm concerned about it. I'm not totally convinced that the bathroom can't go somewhere else, but my biggest concern is just the precedent it sets by allowing a partially enclosed porch.
As I looked at the porches in that street, they are not random in design, but some of them are partial,
Yes.
and others are full, and others are completely full.
Oh, no, I
And
recognize
it's
that.
a new ordinance that has made this one problematic, in
Yeah.
essence.
But-
Its setback is exactly consistent with where it was previously.
But it was a new ordinance, which was the intent of the governing body
Yes, I
to allow
understand
for,
that.
you know, some continuation of a streetscape and open porches and stuff, which give a street character.
I should point out, Mr. Barsky is building a house on the other side of
He
the road.
certainly is.
That is going to change the character.
Yes, and look, I understand that.
No, I'm
and-
just being silly.
Yeah, but, so that,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm against it, I'm just concerned about it. And I
Well, I
think it's
think-
something we should discuss.
I think one more observation for me. It's interesting. The open porch, you're putting a trellis wall up. And of course, it's not a full wall, but it functions as a wall. You're enclosing part of the open porch. You know, you could have left it open. Yeah, it's a nice little, whatever.
Can I just address
It's a wall.
Mr. Cohen's concern? I think that, not every house on the street is coverage constrained. And so if someone came to you with a variance request to enclose or even partially enclose a porch, and they were not coverage constrained, you would have a reason to say, well, no, you can probably find an alternative. That's not our situation. We're not in sort of like the norm situation. So I think, ordinances exist together with means of addressing a variance request. Those two things should work together. And when someone is under an exceptional situation, not the norm, that's the reason that variance process exists, to address those concerns.
I would be, in my particular case, I would be more comfortable with granting a coverage variance for a bathroom than I would partially enclosing the porch. Just a personal preference, given the streetscape and the idea behind enclosing a porch, or even partially enclosing it.
Anyone else have any comment? Mr. Tannenbaum? No?
Let's vote.
Just ask me to say something.
May I also just address concern of Mr. Cohen? The reason being that actually we have been totally open to all of the neighbors who were friendly and responsive to our introducing ourselves as the new kids on the block. And we have invited everybody into our 62 pattern to see how derelict it is on the inside and to show them the plan from the very beginning. And we have not had anyone object to us except the neighbors from 50 who came last time, who despite our many times of approaching them to introduce ourselves, never responded, never came to look at our house or the plans. And because just our neighbors who support what we are doing and liked our plans, they actually sent us emails. But they have to be here in person. Our neighbor, Dan Steinkart, has 2 young children. I could not have the heart to ask them, but we are also using the same architect who renovated their home to do this renovation. We love porches. We have lived in a 250-year-old home before with porches. However, we are also very, very, very keen to have a home that is sustainable, that have energy preservation features. And for us, enclosing this half of the porch is really, really going to make this home comfortable for us. Peter and I are Peter's from Australia, I'm from Canada. We've been here 34 years. Our family, when they come, they have nowhere else to go but to come and stay with us. So, and I have to say, originally, we wanted to keep the porch. I was so unaware that my 91-year-old mother could not walk up the stairs to use the bathroom upstairs. That was when we then have to take the step to look at what is a possible solution. I'm hoping, as Peter pointed out, yes, there are ordinances, but then there is also this variance hearing that we hope that we can throw ourselves at your mercies.
Thank you. Okay, we need to make a decision. Is there a motion that will get us
May I just,
something to discuss?
yeah, may I just sort of ask a quick question amongst ourselves? Hypothetically, if the wall that's not meant to be a wall that is a wall is not going to be there, would that make other members more comfortable?
Which wall?
The trellis.
The trellis.
We're happy to remove the trellis if that's a problem. It was an architectural feature of the house. If it's a problem for the zoning board, we'll remove it.
Personally, I don't have a problem with it. So
I think it's transparent enough. It'll help stop snow drifting in on the porch and things of that sort. It doesn't offend me in that location.
I mean,
One
I don't
could
have,
replace it, I suppose, with a big piece of glass.
I mean, I don't have a problem with the trellis. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a nice architectural feature. I have, you know, my concern is more with the room than the trellis.
Yeah.
Do we need, Derek, in this case, do we need a simple majority? Okay.
Yes, sir.
We also need a seconder to any motion. We need a motion or a second.
Okay, then I move to approve.
Okay, I will put my normal lighting constraint on the building. You have 2 lights on the porch. The light source should not be visible from the street, and no light spillage over your property line.
Those are cylinder lights where the bulb is up inside the cylinder and the cylinder is pointing down. They're also set back 7 feet from the edge of the porch, so it is very unlikely, and the 40-watt bulbs, it's very
I agree,
unlikely that they
but,
would...
I have neighbors that manage to have lights on their garage that shine in my bedroom windows. I feel intensely about these.
I
So-
second the motion.
You second the motion. Okay. So we have a motion and a seconder. Is there a need for further discussion? Okay, would you call the roll then, Cora?
Mr. Cohen?
No.
Mr. Floyd?
No.
Mr. Stryver?
Yes.
Mr. Tenenbaum?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
It's approved. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, as I announced earlier, the 469 North Harrison Street case is being carried to our September meeting because we don't have a big enough group here to hear the case. And so we will now go to the 357 Franklin Avenue. Let me find the right number for that. Oh, yes, all right, I'm sorry. I can't find a case number on that. Where is? Oh, sorry, yes. Yes, the 357 Franklin Avenue, that's got the case number Z1717-478. Good?
Architect for the applicant and the applicant.
Okay.
Lois Clark. Would you like to
I
say
guess
anything?
what I will do is to ask Mr. Bridger to read the essence of his memo to the board into the record, and then I will give you an opportunity to make your case.
Sure.
And presumably you'll all need to be sworn in
Yes.
by our counsel. So
Thank you.
we'll do that in real time.
Thank you.
Mr. Bridger.
Good evening. The applicant, Charles and Boas Park, are the owners of 357 Franklin. Initially, they were seeking an FAR variance in hardship C1 and C2, requested to permit renovation of first floor and second floor addition to an existing single-family house on a non-conforming lot. They have since proposed to remove the shed, which would bring the FAR into a complying situation. So at this point, they were seeking C1 and C2 variances for side yard setbacks and the combined side yard setbacks and the non-conforming lot size. Subject property is located in the R7 zone and is subject to the use and bulk regulations in accordance with sections 10B, 253, and 255, 246 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. The existing single-family permitted as of right. Subject lot is non-complying with respect to the lot area. The requirement is 10,890 square feet. The existing is 10,004 square feet. Side yard setback required is 10 feet. The existing is 5 feet. The combined side yard requirement is 25. The existing is 15. Applicants proposing to demolish and reconstruct the majority of the first floor while preserving its footprint. First floor will contain a family room, kitchen, dining area, office, guest room, and a full bath and mudroom. A new 1,450 square foot second floor is proposed, which will feature 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a laundry room. The applicant will require variances for lot areas. It's my determination that more than 50% of the house is being destroyed during the construction process, and that a lot area variance is required. The existing lot is 10,004 square feet, and the required is 10,890. The construction of the new second floor of the existing first floor will increase the degree of noncompliance with respect to the side yard setback on the right. The requirement's 10, the existing is 5, and the proposed is 5. The side yard on the left, the required is 10 feet, the existing is 10, and the proposed is 9 foot 8 inches to the overhang. The combined side yard setback requirement is 25 feet, and the existing is 15. The proposed will be 14 feet 8 inches. I would ask that if the board is inclined to look favorably on this application, that a condition be applied that the shed must be demolished prior to the issuance of a zoning permit, so that we can verify that the FAR is compliant. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Mr. Bridger? So if you three would be sworn in, I think we could do that all in one go.
And could you first identify yourselves for the record, please?
Boas Park.
And are you the owner, ma'am?
Charles Park, my husband and I are
Okay.
the owners of the home.
And Mr. Periano, you are a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey?
That's correct. I've graduated NJIT. I'm a licensed architect in this state and many states. I've testified before numerous boards throughout the state. This is my first time testifying here tonight.
All right, if you would all raise your right hand, do you swear affirm any testimony you give this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening. I agree with everything that the zoning officer went through. I'm not going to repeat all of the items, but primarily the reason why we're here is to construct a second floor addition over an existing first floor. The goal was to maintain the existing footprints, but due to the nature of the non-conforming lot size and the shape of the lot, it causes some of these variances to come into effect. And if you go look at the site plan that we proposed on the first sheet, you can see that the house is currently parallel to the front yard, but the sides are skewed. So where a portion of the dwelling is compliant in certain areas, and then as you move towards a tighter, towards the back, the house gets closer towards that lot line. And then the opposite happens on the other side. We have more room towards the back, and as you approach the front, it gets closer to the lot line. So the intent was to, add this second floor, but also maintain the existing footprint to not further increase into those setbacks. There was testimony that was from the zoning officer about the shed. We were very close to that FAR be in compliance with the FAR. So by removing the shed, it actually eliminated the need for that variance. So we're solely here on existing lot size and side yard and combined yard setbacks. The existing house, if your board would like, I can explain the existing house and the proposed house so you get an idea of what's going on. But currently, the house is a one-story ranch. There's a garage on the right side, and it consists of 3 bedrooms. The applicant has a child and was proposing to, grow the family and have additional children, so they're going to need additional bedrooms. So in order to accomplish this, we proposed a second floor on this existing house. The house to the left of them is already a 2-story house. The house to the right of them is a 1.5-story house. So there are, both houses are actually larger than their current house, and there are 2-story houses that are in the neighborhood. So, the goal was to, provide the additional space for the applicant, but not, increase it so much that it didn't fit with the neighborhood, and it destroyed the look and the integrity of the neighborhood, which is mainly why we stayed on that existing footprint. So, you can see that we're going to have 4 bedrooms up on the second floor, and then that allowed us to provide some open space on the first floor, because now those bedrooms that were currently in the ranch-style house are now up on the second floor. I don't know if the board would like me to go into any further testimony than that.
I'd like to point out, the applicant did supply elevations and floor plans. However, they're not in the package that was delivered to the board. So you might want to share what the property looks like to the applicants, because all we got is the front sheet. I just noticed now. I have no idea. This is all we got.
There was an original packet. I apologize. I didn't know you guys have no floor plans?
This is all we've got.
Okay, well, I don't know where all those other sheets were, but we submitted, the packet consisted of 3 sheets. The first sheet was the sheet that you guys are looking at. The second sheet, which we could mark that as an exhibit.
There. Maybe
Sure, we can mark this as an exhibit. It's, we can mark 2 sheets.
Why don't we mark all of it? So we'll just make your first sheet A1, second sheet A2, third sheet A3, and then you can identify them when you
Okay,
put them
sure.
up.
Since we can't see it over there, why don't we just pass it down the road? I mean, we could look at it
Because
quickly.
he needs to talk about it.
Would you like me to bring the easel closer, whatever works? I can hold it up if you...
Well, bring the easel closer.
I don't know, we made like 15 necessities. I don't know where they all went, but, so the existing house is currently a 1-story ranch house, okay? So you have 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, a family room, and a single-car garage on the side. The goal is to add a second floor. All the bedrooms are going to be moved to the second floor. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms. With a center hall. And then what that does is that frees up the first floor to now have a nice open kitchen and family room across the back, with still keeping some of these existing items up in the front, especially the back. And then for the elevations, we tried to do something that would be, fit in with the neighborhood. Typical asphalt shingles, fiber cement siding to imitate clapboard, nice crossheads. Nice crossheads, shutters. Again, it was we tried to keep a very traditional design. The applicant was asking for some symmetry, so that's why we did a front elevation that we designed. And maybe I pass this around now so you guys can get a better look at the plans and elevations.
Mr. Permiano, could you just explain, the second sheet was the existing and proposed floor plan?
Correct. The second sheet is the existing floor plan, which shows the first floor with the 3 bedrooms and the kitchen and living and the single-car garage. Also on that same sheet are the proposed first floor and the proposed second floor.
And the third sheet?
The third sheet consists of all the exterior elevations.
Okay, thank you.
You could probably ask me questions on it if you want. I am familiar with the project, so I don't really need to see it.
Sorry? I vaguely saw it through under his armchair. No, it's fine. I just wanted a sense of what the elevation is. Yeah. Okay. So that's your presentation?
That's our presentation, unless you want me to go into any further detail, but I think between Derek and myself, I think that covers everything.
I just want to add some history about ourselves as the homeowners as well. We moved into this house a year ago. We bought it in May of 2016, and we had our first child in October of 2016. So one of the reasons why we wanted to move to Princeton was because I absolutely love this town, and my husband actually was born in Princeton Hospital before it moved to across the street, which is where my son was born. My husband has grown up in there, and he's really loved this town, and I grew up in North Jersey, but have since moved here after graduating and getting a job and getting married, and we both absolutely love the area, and so we actually were searching for a home for quite a bit before we decided on this one. And the reason we chose this house was because of its proximity to downtown. Before we had our child, we would walk into downtown just about every day, and we really loved walking around, getting to know our neighbors. And as you all know, Princeton is such a friendly neighborhood as well. So when we originally bought the home, it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and with one child, totally works and it's fine. But after having one child and knowing that we want to have more children, I actually want to have 3 or 4 kids total. And so knowing that in mind, this house works for us now, but if I think a couple years ahead into the future, I would prefer to have enough bedrooms for the kids, even if one of the kids have to share a room, if we are to have 4 children, if we're able to. And so I knew it would be hard to do a project like this with 2 or 3 young kids, and so that's why we're kind of doing it now, although we only have 1 child. The way we're envisioning this home is one where we can grow and raise our kids. We don't want to move to a different town or to a different home even, because we've already gotten to know the neighbors, and within a year we know that this is kind of where we want to retire. We both work really close by, so it's a great location, and we've already talked about, I know we're younger, but we've talked about retirement and being able to walk to downtown together as older folks. So that's kind of the vision that we have for this house, and like Joe mentioned, we didn't really want to expand it too large. We wanted to add that second floor so that we could have all the bedrooms up there. Even now, with our son, he goes to sleep at 7 p.m., which nobody does. So if and when we have guests over in the living room, you can hear everything in his bedroom, so we kind of have to keep it down, and that's kind of the idea of putting all the bedrooms on the second floor as well. So yeah, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them too.
I have a question. Without the elevation, when I drove by to look at the house today, it was impossible. I don't remember how this elevation fits in with the neighborhood. I just don't remember. Are there 2-story houses there now? Are there, is this going to be a McMansion on the street?
No, that's correct. There's other 2-story houses that we also submitted a photo packet. Did you guys not get that?
We didn't get that either.
All right, well, we'll mark that Exhibit A4. And did you take these photos, Mr. Permiano?
Yes, and this consists of 3 sheets, 6 photos total, 2 photos per sheet, and they consist of the applicant's dwelling. The first photo shows the applicant's dwelling in the center. The second photo shows the neighbor to the right. The third photo shows, again, more side yards, neighbor to the right. Fourth photo, neighbor to the right. Fifth photo, 2-story neighbor to the left. And sixth photo, another 2-story dwelling. Similar style, asphalt shingles, clapboard siding, large exposure, shutters on the windows, and I could pass this around.
Yes,
And
so
do you recall approximately when you took them?
We'll put it in the record.
It was probably about 2 months ago.
Okay.
While that's passing around the board, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this case? Okay, then you'll just have to sit and wait.
So your opinion is that the house will fit with the surrounding neighborhood?
Yes, and, you know, that was, it was difficult to try to get that to work. You know, that's why we try to come up with matching architectural features, matching window styles, roof lines, and also to stay on the footprint. We also proposed an open front porch too, to also, you know, minimize that impact and kind of just create that neighborhood feel. So there is a small porch across the front. It's more for, you know, aesthetics.
So, we'll go into what is euphemistically called executive session. And do we need to discuss anything? Do you have a motion?
I move to approve.
You move to approve as presented.
Yes.
Okay. I will add my two concerns, one of which the town engineer will normally take care of, but drainage is fairly important in that area. And so whatever you do with drainage, it must not flow onto neighboring properties.
Okay.
Any wastewater goes onto the street or gets absorbed in your property. And the second is the one I did last time. Exterior lights are going to be required. The exterior light source should not be seeable from any of the neighboring properties or the road, and light spillage from those light sources should not go over property lines.
Okay.
And I would suggest that you have a garage still.
Correct.
If you have a light for the garage area, I suggest it's either on a timer or you can actuate it from the doors going up and down, and it will turn itself off so it doesn't stay on for long periods. So
Okay.
that is another condition I would choose to add to any approval.
Well, two things. I'll second it, number one.
You'll second the motion.
I'll second
Okay.
the motion, and
Any commentary?
well, the comment is, I think it's a nicely done renovation, and I think the variances requested, which are just basically based on the existing house, I think are de minimis, and
Yeah.
the lot configuration really, as you said, really justifies.
Any other questions? So we have a motion and a second then?
I think, I agree, it's within the height limits, it's within the FAR limits, they're pre-existing, you know, need for a variance, but it's pretty much compliant, and it's an odd-shaped lot,
Yeah,
so,
or an odd-oriented house.
yes.
Okay, so then let's call the roll.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Mr. Tenenbaum?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Do you guys want to keep the exhibits we marked? Okay.
Okay. All right. So the next case is 84 Clearview Avenue, which carries the case number Z1717-493.
The noticing is in order, and the board has
All
jurisdiction
the papers are correct. Huh?
to hear the application.
Come and sit down. I'll get Mr. Bridger to tell us about the problem, and then you can give us your side of the story. Mr. Bridger.
Thank you. Elena Grain is the owner of 84 Clearview Avenue, seeking a C2 variance to permit the replacement of an existing air conditioner condenser and exception to the required setback. She's requesting a C2 variance. The property is located in the R7 zone, subject to the use and bulk regulations in accordance with 10B 253, 255, and 246 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. Existing single-family use is permitted as of right. The lot is non-complying with respect to lot area. The requirement's 10,890 and the existing's 10,500. Non-complying with right yard setback requirement's 10, the existing is 5. And it's also non-complying to the left side setback. And again, the requirement's 10, the existing is 5. The history is the applicant filed a zoning permit to replace the existing air conditioning, which was located within the required 10-foot setback. Zoning permit cannot be issued because it did not comply with the required setback. I conducted a search of existing or the zoning and building records for this property to see if one had previously been issued in its current location, and if one had been found, I would have honored that approval. The policy is, as I say, to honor a prior approval. I advise the applicant that her options were to either move the condenser or to file for a variance, and she's decided to file for the variance. The proposed location is where it is now. If you drive by, it's shielded by trees. You can barely see it. The required setback is 10. The proposed is 7 feet. She's requested consideration under the C2.
Okay. I
Ms.
guess
Green,
you need to be
we'll just
sworn
swear you
by
in. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
do.
Good.
So, yes, the purpose of this application, as was just explained, is just to preserve the current location of the
Could
AC.
you use the microphone so we can record you properly?
Again?
Is there a green light?
Oh, just even closer. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so just the purpose is to preserve the current location of the AC condenser, and the whole issue came up as a complete surprise to me. Was about a year ago. I started the process of replacing the very old 25-year-old heater and air conditioner, and I ran into this denial of the permit. So the story continues, and I explored every other option because I was so taken aback by the amount of paperwork and expense and everything which is involved in the application of the variance for something which actually existed there for over 25 years, and nobody ever complained about this, of course. So I did explore every other option, and the contractor advised me that the only other possibility would be to put that unit on the right-hand side of the house, which would place it in direct proximity of my door and the window and blow the hot air right there, and the noise to the neighbor on the other side. I have to say that, as I explained in my note here, that currently the unit is standing in the blind alley between two properties and covered by the vegetation, so it's completely screened. Nobody ever even knows that it's there. Moreover, the adjacent property at 78 Clearview, this is a property which had a restriction built in the deed. The restriction on the wall which is facing my house, and that wall has to be a blind wall. There's no windows or doors there. So there's no rational, it's just, the current location is not only the logical way to keep it, but also it's ecologically, sound, because it is completely in shade, so it does not, the heat does not really affect anybody, the noise doesn't affect anybody. And in fact, the mayor saw it, it was just by chance, and she was going to introduce a new ordinance for that matter, because she said that the current one was done for the older style, maybe, unit, when they were more noisy. I don't know, but then it never came to that because the township had more business than cases like that. So that's where I am right now, and so this is the only recourse really for me to do it. Unfortunately, I lost the contract and I lost the rebates, and it was a major pain, and unfortunately, you know, I got you involved in this, and but it's a learning process, and I don't see any other option for me if I want to have heat next winter, which is related actually to the air conditioner. They connected together, so
Good. Thank you very much.
that's why you saw the property, so right. So.
I couldn't find it. I
Yeah,
didn't know
exactly.
to pull
Yeah,
the
I have
trees
to
apart.
lead you. Yeah, right.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address this case? Still no. Okay. So, it seems to me,
I would like to make a motion to approve it.
good. Is there a seconder for the motion?
I'll second it. I'd like to ask, can we discuss for a second?
We can now discuss the motion.
Could we refund her fees for the application of this?
I'm sorry?
Could we refund the fees for the application for
No,
this?
that's up to the town. It's not
It is?
up to
Okay.
with
No,
us.
I was just asking. I was just-
We are isolated from anything but the legal issues that
All
come
right.
before. Okay. We have a motion and a seconder. Can you read the roll for us or call the roll for us, Cody?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Mr. Tenema?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you, it's approved.
Good. Thank you. Well, I'm sorry we caused you so much trouble. Okay, our next case is 56 Armour Road. The case number on that is Z1717494, and it's a C variance request. Our ritual will be the same as before. I will ask Mr. Bridger to read the essence of his memo into the record, and then I will invite you to present your case.
Mr. Bridger, before you begin, I'll just note the noticing is in order, and the board has jurisdiction to hear this application.
Thank you.
Mr. Bridger.
Thank you. The applicants, Emmanuel Zulo and Anna Martin, are the owner applicants of 56 Armour Road. They are seeking a C1 variance to permit construction of a detached two-car garage within the required setback. They're requesting a C1 subject in the R1 zone of the former borough, and it's subject to the regulations set forth in Section 17A, 227, and 231. Subject lot is non-complying with respect to lot width requirements 125, existing is 110. And the subject's non-complying with respect to the front yard setback. The requirement is 61, that's prevailing, and the existing is 56.4. They're requesting C1 variance to construct a 663 square foot detached two-car garage within the required front yard setback. There will be no attic in the garage, it's just a simple garage. It's considered an accessory structure in accordance with Section 17A 387. When a garage is located on a corner lot, they shall not be located in that side or rear yard, which is nearer to the street line than the front yard setback required for the principal building on the adjacent lot. The garage complies with the Elm Road prevailing setback. It does not comply with the prevailing setback along Armour. The prevailing is 78 feet, and the proposal is 33 feet 7 inches, and they've requested a C1 variance relief in accordance with that. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Do we have questions for Mr. Bridger?
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Bridger. We're doing the setback variance, is fine. The architect's document A2 indicates a building height variance needed.
That was, it's not needed. The height is measured to the average mean and complies with that. We discussed it. It just complies.
It said that there was a height setback at 15 feet.
Well, yeah, there's just,
This was 18 and a half. I just got confused.
It's on
Yeah.
A2 of the architect's document.
yeah, no, we discussed it. It complies with the height. The height's measured to the mean, and it does comply with that. And the height to setback is only applicable to the principal dwelling from the side yards in the borough. Of course, in the township, it's all four sides, so it gets confusing. But
Good. Sarah, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Peter Lanfrit, Lanfrit. I'm an attorney. My office is in South Plainfield, New Jersey, and I'm here presenting the case on behalf of the applicant. I am going to try to be as brief as I can this evening, but I do have three witnesses, and I will try to get their testimony into the record fairly quickly. The three witnesses are the applicant, our architect, and a planner to justify the variances. So if those individuals can be sworn, I will then present the testimony.
Mr. Lanford, could you just indicate their names on the record, and then we'll swear them all in?
Okay, I have Mrs. Martin, who is the owner, Ms. Thoft, who is the architect, and Kevin O'Brien, who is the planner.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful? Thank you.
I do.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start with Ms. Martin. Microphone on?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ms. Martin, you own the property which is the subject of this application,
I do.
and when did you purchase the property?
July 2nd, 3 years ago.
And who resides in the property?
My family, we have my husband and 2 children.
Okay, and at the present time, the house is undergoing renovations,
Correct.
and you have obtained permits for those renovations.
Absolutely.
And the permits for the renovations also include a permit that has already been issued to construct a garage on the property, correct?
It does.
And that permit that allowed you to construct the garage on the property would not have required you to appear before this board to ask for a variance, is that correct?
Correct.
However, after you started construction of the interior renovations, in discussing the matter with your architect, you decided to locate the garage where it is on the present plan before the board?
Correct.
Okay, and by moving it away from where it was originally approved, it requires a variance.
Absolutely.
All right, can you indicate to the board why you're locating the garage where you want to locate it?
2 reasons. One of the reasons why we bought the property is we love the trees that are in the property, and we want to preserve them. We believe that adds value to the property, and it's very important to us. And so if we were to put the garage today where it has been approved by the plan, we would have to remove at least 2 of those trees, large trees in the property, and we want to avoid that. Second, we feel that it's important for us to have space for our children to play, and putting the garage where we wouldn't have to have a variance, it divides the house where it was approved, and if we put it in the corner where it could also be put without a variance, it takes away our ability to have a backyard for our children.
Okay. In preparing the plans that are before the board this evening, did you discuss the location of the proposed garage with your neighbors?
Yes, we have.
And did any of them voice to you any concerns with respect to the location of the proposed garage?
None of the ones we spoke to have, and we spoke to the ones on each side of our property. In fact, we have here Bob and Flora, and also we spoke to Clark on the other side of our property and across the street, and none of them had an issue.
Okay.
People across the street as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in order to assist the board, if they had not visited the subject property, did you take some photographs of your property and some of the adjoining properties that also have detached garages in a similar condition that you're proposing?
I did,
Okay, and these photographs were taken by you?
by me personally.
Okay, and they were taken within the last, some of them today and some of them within the last few days?
May 29th, I looked right
Okay.
before coming to stage.
Okay, I have 3 sets, and there are 1, 2, three, looks like there's 6 photographs in each set, so if we can pass those out, I guess we can mark it as one exhibit, Counsel?
And these are showing neighboring properties with garages.
I'll have her explain all of them.
Okay.
Okay.
So the first photograph is is the front of our house today. And these are some of the trees in our house. So if we were to put the second photograph, this one here, this will be the large tree that you see back here, which is probably one of the oldest ones in our property.
The driveway is shown on the bottom.
Yep, this
So
one.
that will be the driveway that will go
That,
into the garage.
if we were to go with the car garage that was approved originally, we would have to take out that large tree and the
Yeah.
one in front of it, and we want to avoid that. And it's a huge loss for the property if we were to take those trees out. And then we could also build a garage at the corner of the property, which would not require a variance. And it will be basically in the limit with the property Bob and Flora own, as well as the property to our right, which Clark owns. And then it would take the next photograph, which is the third one, it will take out the tree here, which is also a very large tree. If we were to build the garage, we could have, don't have a need for a variance. So those are some of our options, and Kristen can review the options we evaluated because we looked at all the possible options.
Okay. And the other 3 photographs are photographs of houses in the immediate vicinity of your property?
Yeah, those are photographs of homes on Elm, which is on the other side of the street from us, and they are all within a block of my house.
And those photographs depict the detached garages which are in front of the houses?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
I think we understand, unless do we have any questions about what we've been shown? Okay.
Kirsten?
Yes. I actually have a sketch that I'd love to pass out so that we're not dirt.
Ms. Thoft, I know you've testified before the
Yes.
board before, but maybe you just want to indicate on the record you're a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey, correct?
I certainly
And
am.
has appeared before the board
I
previously.
have been a number of times, yes.
Kirsten, you were retained by the applicant in conjunction with the renovations that she's making to the dwelling and also for the construction of a garage. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And when it came to the issue of the garage, was an application submitted for a building permit for the renovations, and did that application also include a garage?
Yes, it included an attached garage, which is shown on the second sketch on the sheet that was just passed around on SK1. And that attached garage is able to be built as of right because it's attached. It's not an accessory dwelling. And it would need to comply with the 20-foot side yard setback that's on Armour Road. But you can see that with the dashed trees, we would have to be taking out the cherry, the 30-inch chestnut, which is an enormous and old tree, and the magnolia, one of the magnolias that currently flank the driveway, because we'd actually have to move the driveway further to the east. So we did include this garage as part of the building permit for the interior renovations of the house, just so that we had a garage that we could build. But my clients are really interested in saving the trees if they possibly can, because it's the reason that one of the reasons that they bought the property. So we did also look at the other place that they could build a garage as of right, which is indicated in the first sketch in the hatched area, which is 78 feet back from Armour Road and 61 feet back from Elm, and it's a thin swath at the back of the lot. So to make that garage work, we would also have to lose at least one tree, the maple that's down there, and possibly the chestnut, because we'd have to extend the driveway right by the chestnut. So as Anna described, the negatives of this are it takes up yard space because, of course, they have to have a turnout for the cars. And it also extends driveway, which gives us more impervious coverage. And it puts it downhill, which in my mind isn't a great place for the garage because extending the driveway it sort of creates this sluice effect of impervious coverage, whether it's gravel or pavers, and increases the potential for runoff onto the neighbor's lot. So after a lot of discussion, we decided that we would come in front of this board and ask if we could put the garage where the cars are currently parked, which is up closer to the front of the lot.
Can you describe the garage that you're going to construct if the board were to approve the application?
Yes, it's a very simple, basic garage. I think it's 24 feet wide by 26 feet deep. It's got an 8 and 12 roof pitch, which matches the house. The siding would match the house. The corner boards would match the house. Color would match the house. We have shutters on the front windows, which match the house. And Manny has some very lovely garage doors in mind, which I hope we can put on there. It's very much, it's really in keeping with the house. So.
And before the chairman gets to you, what kind of lighting are we putting on the garage?
I always like to use dark sky compliant lighting, which only points light downwards. So that's what we would do.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions of this witness.
I have a question. Does the proposed garage, is it different than what it would have been had you done one of the original ones, or is the basic design the same?
It's pretty much the same. I've just moved it around the lot and obviously had to attach it in the attached case, but it's essentially the same garage.
She got her Lego out and
Mr. Lanford, you want that SK1 to be Exhibit A2?
I would appreciate it. Thank you, counsel. Finally, I'd like to call Mr. O'Brien very briefly. Mr. O'Brien, what is your occupation?
I am a licensed professional planner, licensed by the state of New Jersey.
And can you give the board, I assume this is your first appearance before this board?
This is my first appearance before this board. Elsewhere in Mercer, I have appeared in East Windsor, Hamilton, and Washington Townships.
And also, are you a planner that is associated and represent certain municipalities in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I represent 4 municipalities as their consulting planner, so I serve as the town planner. I've also appeared before over 250 boards in my capacity on the private side, so I've had the wonderful experience of working both sides of the fence. I am also published. I have a graduate degree from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, and
okay, I would offer the testimony of Mr. O'Brien as a professional planner, Mr.
we will
Chairman.
accept his professional prowess.
Thank
and
you.
we hope that he is to the point and brief in his presentation, which few planners that appear before us manage to achieve.
Mr. O'Brien, can you give the board the Reader's Digest version of the reasons that the board should grant the variance to this applicant?
yes, sir, and thank you, Chairman, for your advice, and I can only regret that the other planners in the state have not had the advantage of military service, which allows one to take orders. The applicant is here tonight voluntarily. I can't speak for you, of course, but I'm imagining that you didn't have a lot of familiarity with the planning and zoning process before you came on this board and learned about planning and zoning as a whole alternate universe of reality that applicants get drawn into. In this particular case, this applicant has done this voluntarily because she feels that there is a better planning alternative to what has already been approved by the township. Permits have been issued, but she feels that she would like to preserve the trees, would like to preserve the backyard. I would also like to preserve the character of the neighborhood that consists of Elm and Armour. If you take a look at that tiny intersection of Elm and Armour, the houses on Elm and the 2 first houses on Armour are very close to the street. They have garages that are part of their complexes, part of their property. She's looking to do the same thing and create something that is conforming to the character of the neighborhood. You've seen the two alternate proposals in front of you, both of which are conforming, but both of which would remove some very old trees. That 30-incher looks to be a couple of hundred years old, if not older, and that, I think, would have a detrimental effect upon the character of the neighborhood. Not only that, but the conforming garage locations are such that they will have an immediate negative impact upon the neighbor to the left of the house, looking at it from the street. In one of the versions, the headlights are going to be shining right onto that house, and in the other one, the garage is only going to be a few feet away from that property. We are seeking a C2 variance here in which we believe that the benefits outweigh the detriments. And we believe that there is language in the master plan which talks about maintaining the character of the neighborhoods. We believe that there's language in the municipal land use law, such as maintaining a desirable visual environment, which support this application and would give the board the grounds to grant this application. And I will conclude, if I may, if that's not too quick, Chairman, by stating that I believe that this application can be granted without substantial impairment to the public good and without substantial detriment to the zone plan and the zoning ordinance. And I welcome any questions.
No. Okay.
That concludes my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this case? We'll invite you to the lectern, and then our counsel will get you to testify that you'll tell us truthfully.
Sir, could you first state your name and address for the record?
My name is Robert Varin, V as in Victor, A-R-R-I-N. I live with my wife at 21 Elm Road, which is directly behind the property in question. We share a 200-foot common property line.
And Mr. Varon, do you swear or affirm any testimony you give this evening will be truthful?
I do.
Thank you.
I think this is a reasonable application. Those trees are very important. They enhance our property as much as they enhance the neighbor's property. By putting the garage in that back corner, I think it would be detrimental to everybody in the neighborhood, and it would be a long walk for the residents to get to that garage as opposed to where they're proposing. So in every sense, particularly the trees that enhance our property, I think it's worthy to save those trees and put the garage where they're proposing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Will you do the same thing?
Same. Emil Schauflen, S-C-H-O-F-F-E-L-E-N. I live at 11 Elm Road. Trees in that neighborhood are magnificent.
Mr. Stoffler, I'm sure you swear or affirm your testimony will be truthful,
I
right?
do.
Thank you.
Trees in the neighborhood are magnificent. The houses are modest size for some of the other houses, and the trees just give it character, that area. So I have no objections. I think it's a good plan. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
I have nothing further, and I don't think I need to sum up. I would just respectfully request that the board grant the variances requested to put the garage where we are proposing.
And
it.
there's the implied condition about garage lighting.
Absolutely.
And not being on all night long shining.
I'm a quick learner.
Good. Okay.
Well, I know the house very well. And actually, about a year before you moved in, there was a beautiful tree at the intersection of Armour and Elm that was on a little triangular piece that I believe is owned by the borough. And right at the corner, and the storm took that out one night. And so it's a beautiful lot. It's a very nice house, and I think the placement of the garage is really where it should be to preserve the lot itself. So I think it's a good solution.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion? And a second?
I'll make a motion to approve it with your standard conditions.
Okay. A second for the motion?
A second.
Any discussion of the motion? Okay. Then would you call the roll for us, Claudia?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Mr. Tenable?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. The final case for the evening is 23 Sargent Street, with the case number Z1717489. So,
Good evening.
if you sit there, I will get Mr. Bridger to read the essence of his memo.
Board
into
members,
the record.
I'll note for the record that the
All the
noticing.
documents are in order.
Yes, I'll also note, I did receive a message, I was not there for the call, but I received a message from the daughter of the residents at 1 Markham. Although the noticing is in order, apparently she receives the mail for her parents, that she just got it. So she made a request that the hearing be carried so that her parents can be here. Obviously, they're not here tonight. Since the call seemed quite urgent to her, I felt I would bring it to your attention. But I'll also point out that the noticing is in order, and everything was sent out in a timely way.
Mr. Bridger.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Owner Patrick Savard is requesting a floor area variance pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-74 to permit the construction of a small roof and wall to enclose an existing second-floor balcony. The enclosure of the porch will encroach into the combined smaller side and rear yard setbacks, requiring variance relief, and it will violate the required building height to setback. Applicants requested a C1 for the bulk variances. Subject properties in the R2 zone, subject to the use and bulk regulations in accordance with sections 17A, 239, and 240 of the former Princeton Borough Land Use Ordinance. The existing dwelling use is permitted as of right as a result of a use variance granted in the 1980s. Staff was unable to locate the resolution and findings of facts for this project. The subject lot is not complying with the required lot area. The required lot area is 10,000 square feet. The existing is 2352. The required lot width is 75. The existing is 24. And the required lot depth is 100. The existing is 98. And the existing property itself is non-complying with respect to the required smaller side yard setback. The requirement's 10. The existing is 0. These are on 0 lot line townhouses on fee simple lots. The combined side yard setback is 25, the existing is 0. The rear yard setback is 35, the existing is 29.75. The building height to setback requirements 2-to-1, the existing is non-compliant because it's built right on the property line. And the floor area ratio, the proportional floor area ratio is 52.9, and the existing is 125. And building coverage requirement is 25, the existing is 43.9. As I indicated earlier, applicants applying for a D variance to construct a small roof and enclose an existing open balcony on the second floor of the townhouse. It will increase the floor area by 90 square feet approximately, and it increases the existing degree of non-compliance with respect to the FAR, which is currently 59. The existing is 125, and the proposed will be 129. As you know, it's a D variance and requires 5 affirmative votes. The bulk variances requested are for the smaller side yard setback, and I'll just run through them quickly here. Requirements 10, proposal is 0. Combined side yard setback, requirements 25, the proposed is 0. The rear yard setback, 35, the existing and proposed are 29.75. The building height to setback, 2-to-1, is non-complying and will continue to be non-complying, and the applicant has requested a C1 variance for the bulk variances. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to address them.
I'm a little bit confused about the nature of the property. It's being talked of as a single lot, whereas in fact it was built as a complex.
It was built as a complex.
I thought it was a condominium, but it's
fee simple. You would think visually that it would lend itself to have common areas and be like a condominium, but it was probably done right after the condominium law came into vogue, and so it has basically 0 lot lines, and it's a very dense development for the zone that it's in. It's actually partially, not this project, but Part of the project's in the R2, and I think part of it's in the R3, so.
Okay.
My client, Mr. Savard.
The Brink's right in time. Okay, so we need to swear.
Mr. Wilkes and Mr. Savard, raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
I do. Thank you very much. I have testified before this board previously. I'm a registered architect in the state of New Jersey.
We have no problem in hearing.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. My name is Kevin Wilkes. I'm an architect. I'm here representing my client, Mr. Patrick Savard. As Derek mentioned to you, this Markham Square looks like a planned use development and walks like a planned use development in a condominium, but it's really a zero lot line, fee simple series of townhouses. So it is all of the units there, with some exception on the end conditions, are completely out of compliance of lot size, setbacks, and Derek wasn't able to locate the approvals and resolutions on the original development from the 80s. So we don't really have any background testimony to explain to you why it came to be that way. So we
Mr.
just
Hillier moved in a strange way.
we just present it as a fait accompli. The designs have a very small kitchen. It's a galley kitchen. 80 square feet is the size of the present kitchen. Mr. Savard is seeking to increase the size of his kitchen a little bit and have a counter with an EN component and actually remodel the kitchen. Adjacent to the kitchen are two spaces, the family room and the exterior balcony. So the balcony is enclosed on 3 of 4 sides. It's open to the interior driveway of the development.
It's on the north side.
Correct, on the north side, which is private access way for the residents of Markham Square, not a public right-of-way. And so our proposal tonight is to put a glass wall and windows on the balcony ledge and enclose that presently exterior space and really connect that to his kitchen, remove half of the interior wall from the kitchen to the balcony and make that all one contiguous space. So we are faced with a series of requests from our variances, as Derek mentioned. The existing residence already has a 125% FAR. We're seeking to add 4%, bringing that exterior balcony space into the residential envelope. And obviously, we don't comply with any of the setbacks, so we need relief on that section. Derek went through the numbers with you, so I really won't repeat what they are in terms of the requirements. The lot is less than a quarter size of the required for that zone. Really, the R2 zone ordinance is set up for a different type of lot configuration than Markham Square presently has established. So I have some photographs that I'd like to introduce. Karen, if you want to.
But what you are proposing to us has been done on some of the other units in that.
In fact, I'm going to show you pictures
Yes,
of that very condition. So we're going to circulate 2 photos for you of Mr. Savard's balcony, and then a third photo will be of a balcony where that has actually happened, what we're proposing.
Right across the driveway, there's one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I have a friend that's just moved in there.
Mr. Wilkes, did you take these photos
I did.
recently?
I took them about 3 months ago.
Okay.
So you'll see in the photographs the red rectangle on 2 images. That shows the balcony, Mr. Savard's balcony, and the third balcony is, a third photograph shows the balcony was previously enclosed. So we actually are proposing something completely similar and identical. We actually did the job, so that's why I feel comfortable saying I propose something identical. Then on the floor plans, on the drawings that we've So we're not proposing to project beyond the existing building line. We're not proposing to increase the footprint. It's really not an addition in a standard sense of understanding an addition. It's really the enclosure of an existing space adjacent to his main living level. The drawings we've submitted, C100, shows our site plan. And we've cross-hatched the area of the balcony in the site plan view. And then the sheet we've submitted, A100, shows you the existing plan on the left-hand side of the drawing and the proposed plan on the right-hand side of the drawing with the new window wall installed on the existing balcony rail. We won't touch any of the brick or detailing of the existing balcony rail. We'll remove the rail itself and set the new wall right on top of that brick parapet.
And then sliding windows.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then the next sheet actually shows that. A200 shows the gliding windows and just a building section. Shows the really limited extent of new construction.
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Of course. That's why you're here.
No, I didn't know it was question
No.
time. So above it would still be open?
Correct.
And so the only part that would extend out is a little bit of the roof line, like, and how much of that roof line is there? I can't quite tell from the drawing.
It's about 3.5 feet.
And that is comparable or compatible with the other
Yes.
that you've already done?
Yes.
I went over and looked at it today, and I have to confess I couldn't find it. I mean,
They all look alike in there. It's sort of
I
hard
was
to
looking
figure.
at the corner lot. For some reason, I read the number on the street, and when I drove around, I thought it was a corner lot. So I'm asking a question because I was looking at a different house at the time. So
When did you do the other? You said you did one 2 doors down or 2 lots over. When did you do that?
Probably 2.5, 3 years ago.
So that didn't come before us.
So that was in a different zone? This project's in the R2 and the R3 zone, and I think that was an N unit, that had a
Correct.
larger lot area.
Had a
so it
larger
didn't
lot
further
area.
all the setbacks.
And we didn't have the
issues that
setback
this
problem.
application does.
No problem.
Markham Square does have an architectural review board. They reviewed this and approved it.
I must say I agree with you about Mr. Hillier's kitchen. He doesn't know how to cook.
I didn't
He
state
may
the
wonder
architect's
if he
name.
hardly get the saucepan lid off.
So
they're compact units, and that was a novel kind of thing in
Yeah.
the 1980s for this town to have something like that.
what is the square footage of the entire unit?
20,
They're not small.
Is it 3 stories?
yes. There's a garage underneath,
Right.
then a main, and there's a laundry room on that ground level, then there's a main living level, and then there's a level above.
And it's over 2,000 square feet total,
Right just above that, yes.
including the garage.
Hang on.
It's okay.
It's...
Yeah, it says 2,900 square feet.
Right. Let me see actually what. 2951 is, oops, sorry. 2951 is the
I
answer.
found that, thank you.
Okay,
I'm fine.
you were just accepting the number.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Seems to me to be straightforward and obvious.
Oh, I have another question. This isn't a condominium, but there is a design board that,
Hang on one second. What, Michael, I didn't hear what your comment was.
I was wondering if anybody recollect, was this project preceded by the Tim Sheehan whole litigation that produced the...
There was a parking garage?
No, let me...
You're talking of this picture.
The project you're speaking of was well before my time, but I've heard it's kind of legendary. And I'm not sure if it was this building. I think it was this building that was initially going to be office, and then there was a problem with the zoning.
Well, that was the one across the street, actually.
Is it?
That was the one across the street. But when that got changed and approved for apartments, this thing happened simultaneously.
Okay.
And there was kind of an idea that Nassau Street at that point could sustain density.
They also shifted the old house to one
Well, the
side.
house,
Correct.
this was the property behind the bigger, older home.
And the house is actually a condo,
Two
so
units.
so there's
The
two
house is
there's two
complicated.
units in the
I mean,
house,
it's
so
very complicated
it
property.
kind of walks like a duck, but doesn't entirely quack. So there's different things happening up there,
They shifted it and put a big garage under
right?
That was.
it. I remember them doing it.
And I think because the two units in the original house are condo, and then there's these fee simple, I think that's sort of why the Architectural Review Board exists as a concept to
that's what I
kind of make sure everybody's happy with what's going on, because everyone's pretty close together in there.
Right.
Okay, but this involved litigation, that's...
Yeah, that building, that garage, that structure sat there for a long time before.
Till you dovetailed off.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, no,
Okay,
that's what,
so,
Good.
what is your pleasure?
I move that we accept the proposal
As proposed.
as proposed.
You're not putting any exterior lighting on?
No,
so I
sir.
can't get my
No,
favorite
sir.
amendment.
None at all. Not up, not down.
Is there a seconder to the motion?
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a seconder. Any discussion of the motion? Claudia, would you call the roll for us, please?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Schreiber?
Yes.
Mr. Tenenbaum?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you very
approved.
much. We appreciate it.
Excellent run meeting tonight, Mr. Royce.
You must let me come and have a look at this kitchen when you've built it.
Those pictures. Yeah. Yes, please. Can I have the pictures for 23, Surgeon? With pictures. Yes, yes. You too.
Ah,